Hi everyone, and welcome, or welcome back if it's not your first time here. Today, as you might have already gathered by the scenery here, it's time for a little bit of something different. I will confess that I have been in the game, the DDO, for on and off, it's got to be a good 10 years. And honestly, I've played precious little else. And not that I've been caning it on the DDO or anything, but I suppose I'm the sort to sort of focus on one, and if I'm enjoying that, not really go to look elsewhere. So any other like MMOs like Warcraft and Skyrim and what's that other one called that Eric used to play, Elder Scrolls or something like that. I know little or nothing about those. I think Diablo's another one, is it? Just what I've seen on the odd YouTube. But this one, I must say, I'm very surprised it's taken me so long to set foot in it. Not because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Obviously, I've read some of the books as a youngster and I've enjoyed the films. I think we did a double sitting, my friend and I. That must have been about 6 hours once when the second film came out, The Two Towers. They were doing like a bit of a film bonanza at the local cinema. So I remember we went and we saw what back to back, one after the other. My God, I could hardly get up when that finished, but it was great fun. So yeah, I figured it might be fun to finally have a little look at it, given that we're kind of getting to the stage, or at least I am with the DDO. I've read a few comments in the forums kind of along these lines. You know, like what's left to do, that kind of thing. The people are saying, oh, we've got all the, the capped out characters. We're steamrolling Ring Reaper 10, which is certainly not the case for me, by the way. But I do have several characters who can hold their own in there and do very nicely as part of a group. And you might have seen my barbarian build, Fools, just managed to squeak his way on his own through the Grim and Barrett Reaper 10, which is kind of a barometer for many, I know, for testing builds out. So anyway, yes, I just thought it might be nice to have a little look at this through the eyes of a complete newcomer, because honest to God, hand on heart, I haven't set foot in this game by some miracle, because it's obviously run by the same company, the Standing Stone Games. Not until this week have I had a look, and I'm just wondering if maybe we might, with our little group, we might, because I know one of us has invested quite a bit of time. He's a big Lord of the Rings fan, is Eric. So I think he has several characters on one of the servers with level up to 100 or something, but I certainly haven't. So I thought it might be nice to have a little look, do some of the comparisons from the point of view of a long-term DDO player who, until the beginning of the week, knew little or nothing about the goings-on in this game. So I want to start one of the most captivating things for me, the scenery, the sort of wilderness areas. Compared to the DDO, the scale is massive. Think of like I don't know, the UK where I am against somewhere like Canada, and that would be the DDO areas against the areas this game has. It's really huge, and compared to some of the pretty dead DDO wilderness areas, these, I don't know, it just feels immersive and alive. I suppose I'm going to say that seeing it for the first time. Try seeing it for the 1000th time or whatever. I get that. And I think that's nice in a sense anyway, just to, because it's been very rare for me. As I've said, I haven't played anything different from DDO. I mean, that's my own fault, of course, but just look at this. I think you don't need to have a guess, because it came up with the name as we approached the town, didn't it? It said something there. I was going to take you here and see if you recognised it. That, for those of you who haven't got it yet, is the iconic Prancing Pony Inn. So I thought we could stand here and have our little discussion, and maybe I could take the time to show you around a little bit. So I'm going to focus on some of my early observations and some of the differences, perhaps. One of the biggest is the way the questing and the levelling works in general. Now in DDO, yes, you have the specific Slayer areas where you just go and grind into the ground for your level breaks or whatever they are, which is not really my cup of tea. But here, I think the areas are kind of brought to life. Well, the way they've been created and put together. I mean, I'll give a shout out to the Shire, which is one of the first areas you'll see as a starting player in the game. I mean, that, to anybody who's followed the Lord of the Rings, the little hobbit holes and the peaceful, the green fields, oh my god, it was, yeah. I'd encourage you to have a look at a little video of that if you haven't seen it. And then Rivendell, when I saw that for the first time, that was an eye-opener, I can tell you. Really nicely done. So, I suppose we could say really nicely crafted wilderness areas. I was suitably impressed. And yes, a lot of the questing actually takes place in those areas. So I think that brings them to life a bit more. They're not just somewhere you pass through. I mean, it can be. People can sort of pass through doing other things, but often you're sort of going in there, going about your business, and the quest itself, like kill so many wolves, or go and speak to this person, or collect so many of whatever it is they've sent you to find. So yeah, I found the wilderness areas to be pretty immersive. Quite enjoyed that. And obviously most of the areas have opponents in there of some description or other, like wildlife or bandits or whatever it happens to be. And to give you a nice guide as to how threatening or otherwise those things might be, there's a nice little colour scheme that the game follows. I think on the very worst extreme, you've got purple opponents, which would be absolutely do not touch. I think that means about 10 levels or more above where you are. Then you go into red, which is alarm bells should be ringing, and unless you've got a strong group, don't really touch that either. Yellow is a couple of levels above, like should be alright if handled with caution. The white one, as you can see here, because the tasks, the quests that they give you, the colour scheme applies to that as well, so it's a nice indicator, generally speaking, of how difficult or otherwise the task will be. Now the white means at level. That's a special mission actually, that's not, but this one here, that means that's level appropriate for where we are now. 26. For anybody who's played the game, they would probably tell you they could get there in one day. So yeah, definitely beginner here. And then the dark blue, we're going to 1 or 2 levels beneath your level, so a bit more comfortable. Light blue, more comfortable again. And then they'll gradually go to grey, which is no XP for kills, and in my experience they would tend not to attack you either, or at least as far as my wanderings have shown me, once they go to grey. So grey would indicate an area where you're not going to get much done if your objective is leveling, and red or orange is better beware and maybe look for a more suitable area to and then come back to that later. Builds in general, I've got noted here, seems to be more user friendly. I mean, for those of you who know DDO, building for a new player in particular can be a proper minefield, and you've got to follow a build guide to do reasonably well. And there can be so many pitfalls, can't there? Oh, you've chosen the wrong feet, and you've not chosen the right alignment, so the build is a fail. Unless there's something I've missed, I really haven't found that to be the case here. If we go in the character panel, I'll show you what I mean. It's been dead simple. According to the class you choose, I chose Hunter because that was recommended for newer players. It has a nice little travel feature. Travel is a big deal, I'll come to that in a minute. But because the world is so big, to be able to insta-travel, like teleport to places, is very handy for a new player. Well, for anybody, but especially for the newer players. So yeah, every class comes with 3 of these trait lists, and initially you can only choose one to go down. So my Hunter here, I've chosen the Huntsman, gone down here, and kind of the signature ability, as far as I can tell, of this tree is the split shot. So you end up being able to hit, if I read that right, up to 5 targets at once with that shot. Not going to go into the build and that with any detail or the things here. That's not the purpose. Just to do the contrast. So to me, at least, there's much less sort of barrier to entry on that build complexity front. I've just set the points in here. Also, I know there's similar in DDO as well, but if we want to respec, we can do it easily, and the cost is quite low. So you just pay a few silver pieces and it's job done. So that's been quite nice. Combat, I would say probably simpler as well. It works on a queue system with the abilities. You can if you want to, like, I've got these set up here in line. We do barbed arrow, lingering wound, swift bow, then penetrating shot. I always tend to do those 4 against a single target, so I just press 1, 2, 3, 4 very quickly, and it queues them up. When it's finished with one, it does the second one and third one. So that's quite nice. So pretty simple. So simpler builds, simpler combat from what I can tell, and just less barrier to entry in general for the new player. Less sort of mistake potential, because your class dictates where like on level up, you don't have to decide where to, other than this thing I've shown you here. As far as I can tell, you don't have to decide where to put stats or anything. It just does it for you, and the stats are dictated by the class. So the Hunter class here is an agility class, and it's telling you there what it means for you. I haven't gone into all the points and the things, what they all mean, and that I haven't done that. But again, on the gear side, you find gear as you're questing along anyway, to add to your character's abilities. And there's also, after level 20, you can go and do these little skirmish things, which is more akin to the DDO style questing, like an instance type thing. And you can go and have a go at those, and those the rewards for the skirmishers, they can give you some nice level appropriate gear. So that might be a nice thing to try. So yeah, Hunter for beginners, for going out into the wilderness and rapid teleport. I thought that was quite a nice thing to do. Let's have a little mention of the... Oh, but before I do, I've got to mention this. One of the nicest things I've seen since I've been in here. I've been sort of a couple of hours for the last 3 days just to get a feel for the place, so I would have a semi-informed position from which to speak today. It happened outside here, the Prancing Pony. There was a group of folk, as far as I could tell, like real life players, because one of them posted in the chat here, which incidentally is pretty friendly and multi-language. There seems to be a decent German-speaking community as well as French. But there was this group of bards and folk outside throwing fireworks around and seemed to be having a good time. Of course, me being me, kept to one side, but it was nice. There just seems a nice atmosphere, a nice feel about the place. So yeah, let's talk for a minute about the free-to-play, because obviously I haven't spent anything. This account is free-to-play, and what limitations and where I'm coming from with the sort of comparison with DDO. Now, when I started DDO, there wasn't this free quest thing, and even now that there is, when the free quest thing is not available, as far as I'm aware, the new players are severely limited in terms of what is actually available for them to run that is free, and until they have to start paying. So, very surprised to see here. I mean, it couldn't be further away on the questing side of things. There's loads, maybe even too much on the free-to-play side, on the content. I mean, I've got to 26. Admittedly, the season players will tell you that's like nowhere. The level cap at the moment is 160, I'm led to believe. So yeah, it is basically nowhere. But there's always been plenty of stuff to do, and I've had to delete stuff off my quest selection thing here when they've been, you know, too low level for me. I've had too much, if anything. So that hasn't been a problem. The reverse, quite the reverse of DDO, at least on that score. I think you get the usual thing with the limitations with inventory and carry space and that, which you'd expect, and they sell that in the store. Some of the posts I've been reading through do recommend that if you're going to spend any money, the carry-all bags are a nice choice, you know, for crafting ingredients, that kind of thing. As far as I can tell, there's no premium currency like Astral Shards on the DDO side. There are mithril coins here. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but there are mithril coins, but you can't trade with other players in that currency, as far as I can tell. Which brings me on to the actual auction house. I found it quite helpful buying from. I've managed to buy a couple of little tools for my crafting side of things, made by other players. But as a free-to-play player, one of the big drawbacks, you are unable to sell on the auction house, and that's a real bind, because some of the lower down materials would sell quite nicely for people leveling up alt characters or whatever it happens to be. But because I can't post an auction at all, I just have to sell to vendors to free up bank space, and that means a big loss generally on things I might otherwise have made. So that's one of the big drawbacks of the completely free-to-play. No ability to post at all on the auction house, but you can buy from it. I think the other one I've got listed here is the travel, the whole business of travel. Whenever you go into a new place, they recommend that you always just right-click on the stable masters are located on the map here. They recommend you always right-click on the stable master with any new character to I think that sort of loads that one into that character's list of possibilities for travel.
What
And
can I
then
do for you?
you're able to use them. I think these blue ones are the ones we're able to use. As far as I'm aware, this swift travel thing takes you there immediately. Let's just test it out. Let's do this one, a red Lewin. Can we do it? As far as I'm aware, it takes you there immediately. I could have got that wrong. I hope it's not going to... No, it's not. It's not going to. Okay. I thought that between beginner areas, it would do it. But typically, with a non-VIP, you would get the result you saw there. The horse... it would go quickly, but you would have to ride through all the wilderness. So if it's a wilderness that you are under level for, be careful with the encounters and things. So that's one of the biggest drawbacks to free-to-play, the transporting around in general, and you're not being able to use this swift travel. The sages would recommend that you take a month of VIP, because apparently any character that you create during that time... Now, a standard account, a free-to-play account, has only 2 character slots. I think that goes up to 10 when you've had a month of VIP, which stay after the time expires. So you could create 10 characters, all of whom would have access to the swift travel because they'd have logged in during the VIP time. And then when the VIP lapses, you keep the swift travel access. That's one of the big draws. And you also get the ability to post on the auction house. So a month of VIP for those 2 alone seems to me to be like a pretty good deal. According to my readings, I mentioned that the level cap was 160. I think you can go up to sort of 95 content wise and not have any trouble. So I mean, that's a huge difference from the DDO, that really is. Also, I missed it because I didn't decide on this little project early enough, but there was a code, and I'm sure there will be again. So I think it was called Explore Our World. It's basically the LOTRO equivalent of the free quests code on DDO. And I think what I might do is wait, well, do what little bits I can if we decide to invest ourselves over here, and wait until that code comes out, and then see about experiencing things a little bit high up. I mean, it's going to take us... It's taken me a while to get to this 26. It's going to take us some time to reach the cap anyway. The last thing I've got for free to play, by the way, one of the barriers, I haven't found any barrier content wise yet, and I don't think I will by what I'm hearing, but there's these things called missions, which I think can be done, is it daily or weekly? I don't fully understand it, but that's the only paywall that I've encountered so far on the free-to-play. So on that side, for the things you can do, I mean, there's ample content here, you know, for you to decide, you know, am I into this or not? Loads of nicely crafted wilderness areas and tons of questing. So by the time you reach the 90s, if you get that far, I bet a lot of the newer players around here don't even get half that far, for whatever reason. So, but there's miles more than enough to make an informed decision on, I would say anyway. So that's a real benefit. I'm just contrasting that to my first weeks and months in DDO, where I was scrimping DDO points just to be able to open the odd quest back here and there to make it a bit more interesting for me. Let's have a look, see what else we've got here. Immersive wilderness, yeah, I've got that. I think just in general, it's a bit more of a chilled out experience. I mean, yes, I'm sure there are the end game crowd who min-max everything, but I mean, just the fact I saw that crowd outside the inn there doing the thing with the fireworks. It's not just about the grinding of the things, because that's one reason I'm kind of looking a little bit for pastures new, or at least something a bit different. It occurred to me that all I was doing on my latest, I'm trying to get a paladin to where I want it to be a tanky paladin for our little group, and I was just sort of going round and round the hamster wheel like I'd done dozens if not hundreds of times before, and thinking it's got a bit old hat as this. So maybe that's another reason for wanting to diversify a little bit. Yeah, I haven't delved into that side of it yet. I think there are free-to-play and premium options, just like there are in DDO, but here housing replaces the DDO guild ship. I haven't really looked into it, but I know you can have player housing. I think it might even be marked on the map. Is there a player housing area marked somewhere? Can I get a bigger map? Reland with that. Yeah, I think this will show me. There we go. So we've got Breland homesteads, and that's where people's housings and things would be. There's a stable master there, so you can go straight to your house, and I bet you can put crafting for a bit like think DDO guild ship, and I bet you won't be far wrong. Speaking of crafting, I quite like what there is here. You've got wherever you see a crafting symbol on the map, you can do your thing there. You've got forge, or there's a workbench thing as well. I was reading up about, because each character gets 3 professions to choose from, and the general consensus was for a new character to choose the gathering professions. So I've respected that and gone with scholar, which is kind of the ones that make healing potions like these, and scrolls to give you like crafting boosts and various other things like boosts in battle as well, so that could be quite nice. Then you've got the prospector, the miner, basically mining various nodes out in the wilderness for ores, and then the forester, exactly as it sounds, with wood branches that you find out in the wilderness. I could show you the little crafting page. So it's pretty simple, to be honest. You level everybody starts as an apprentice once you decide to take the profession on, and it gives you a couple of little options. There's nothing overly complicated there. It tells you what ingredients you need, so just two pieces of copper ore, and you go to your forge and it crafts them for you. And once you've got enough experience in apprentice, you're allowed to go on to journeyman, doing similar stuff, except now we can make silver. And then you go up to the expert one, which is where I've currently just broken into, and you can start on with gold and high grade the fancier stuff, which then go into the other recipes. This is why it's a shame we can't go on the auction house at the moment. Other people might be able to use these raw materials we're generating to create weapons, armors, all these tools, these kinds of things, jewelries. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Against the DDO thing, it's quite refreshing, to be honest. Against something like the green steel thing, which I wish I'd never seen, to be quite frank. I'm quite happy with this. It's dead simple. There's just a case of the ingredients that you find out in the wilderness. They're tailored to the level of the wilderness that you're going in. So if you can kind of try and pick up bits and pieces as you go along, you can, and I've managed it to a degree at present. I think you'll see we're on expert on all, just breaking into expert on all three. I've managed to sort of keep the crafting in line with where the level of our character is, so he's finding stuff when out on his travels that can help, you know, when we get back to town, to be boosting up the crafting. Also, I've looked with any spare coin on the auction house to see if there's any materials that we could take from there to further help with that. But yeah, pretty straightforward, if you don't mind. I quite like it, to be honest. It's a bit of a change, and these things here, really helpful. You've got these tools here. I think these just come with the profession. So if you're near a ruin, you can look for artifacts. That's for the scholar profession. Out in the general wilderness, in the fields, you can track either wood or mines, and there'll be a little symbol on the mini-map to tell you that there's and an arrow as well. There could be a blue arrow to tell you there's an objective nearby for what you're tracking. So that's quite handy. Speaking of tracking, I'm guessing these are for hunters only, but these are nice too. You can track nature or foes like goblins and orcs and that, and this would be wolves and bears and what have you. Depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking for a specific mission target, you can find it quite nicely that way. This is one I like too, when out in the wilderness. Build a campfire for, it's on a 3-minute cooldown, but it can give you a nice quick health restore. I just quite liked it. It's in line with the sort of cozy theme of the game. So I thought that was nice. I don't know if that's all characters. I suspect it is, but maybe it's just for the hunter. I don't know. But I like that. And on that theme, and fitting in nicely with the transport issues we can have, if you ever find a campfire around the place, so I'm going to show you actually. I have bound, you can see current camp, the weather hills, that's where I'd got to in the story. You can use this to make a bind point, so you can return to your campfire, have it like if you've gone back to town to sell or something, you can return to the campfire. I love how the one ring is there on the loading screen. That's quite immersive too. So here we are out in the campfire, the latest spot in the story. I'm not going to show you the quest, but glowing ring over the head is a clear indicator there's something going on there that you could pick up. Now, to return back to Bree, we've got two choices. We can transport there as a hunter, but we've also got what they call a milestone marker, I think it's called. They're on a 1-hour cooldown, but there's a milestone basically in every sort of built-up area. So you can see there, that one's still on cooldown, so I'll cheat and use the hunter's one. I've mentioned already, yeah, there is one just outside Bree actually. I think it's about here on the map. There's a skirmishers camp, and that's, for those of you more familiar with the DDO style questing, that would definitely ring a bell with you folks. Those are like instanced quests where you can, it's quite fun, quite immersive, and you can get decent at-level gear as rewards. You pick up these tokens called marks, and you can spend those marks on rewards. For those of you who are interested in hirelings, you'll be pleased to know they're not completely abandoned in the game either. For those skirmish things, you are allowed to have, well, they call them soldier here. And at the skirmish camp, you're able to spend those marks on upgrading your soldier into shaping them into how you would want. So let's say you've got a tanky warrior, maybe you want a little archer in the background to help you. In my case, I am the little archer, so I've gone for what they call a protector soldier who goes and does the tanking, and he does it reasonably well. I wish I could have him with me in some of the quests because some of the end bosses, not so much the quests, but some of these instanced things that are meant for more than one person, I've really struggled with the end bosses when especially when they happen to be ranged and they start mashing me. What else have we got listed here? Crafting we've done. Yeah. So, inventory bank, pretty similar to be honest. We've got a bank here, so I'll just show you. Bank doubles as a seller here, so we can sell any gear we want.
Greetings, friend.
If we want to.
How can I be of service?
Now, I think in DDO I'm right in saying you can open up to 40 extra slots with the Kundarak quests, can't you? I don't think that's available here, but what I have been trying to do is add space. You can obviously add space for the DDO points, but I've been trying to add space for actual in-game currency. I think I've added... what have I added so far? I can't remember where it started, but I think I've done 2 or 3 extensions, and maybe this is the last one. But as you can see, the 4 gold it's asking for is double what I currently have. So I'll have to work a little bit to unlock that one. Now, one of the nice things, I know the bag space is limited. You can add, I think it's in units of 5 from the store. You can add to that. But one of the nice things is you have like a temporary bag out in the wilderness. Let me try and show you how that works, because it's quite a nice little mechanic. Can we get out there? Horse, by the way, this one I was lucky. Somebody happened to post in the chat there was still a thank you 2025 code going on. So do pick that up if you happen to pick up the game within a few days of seeing this. One of the things it gives you is the horse, and another one is some of those mithril coins, which I don't know what to do with yet, so I've left those. But because of the vastness of the areas to explore, you'll be really glad of the horse, that's for sure. Let's try and show you the exploration thing. So we're going to track mining deposits when we're out here. And we're going to do a passage of nature. See if we can see. So it's telling us here we've got scarred splinter tusk. Let's track that one. So there we go. It's telling us it's there, and of course there it is. We can't shoot while mounted. I think later on you can actually do combat from the horse. So we've killed that with no problem. As you can see, they're all grey here, meaning we've out-leveled this area. Does it tell us? Yeah, so their level, I shot that by mistake, sorry. So that was level 14 and we're 26, so obviously we're going to be battering the poor things. But you can see now in the bag, we've got an hour to collect these things. So I could have a full inventory and a pretty full pending loot, and this pending loot persists. You know, we could go back to town, back to the bank, sell all our stuff, and then take the pending loot. So it's a nice sort of temporary storage, provided you don't go over that hour limit, to make up for the inventory shortcomings. I just thought it would be nice to mention that. Another one, a interesting contrast from the DDO is the trainers. Now there are trainers scattered around for the various classes, but I've never needed to use one. I don't know if I've missed a huge trick there or what, but it seems to me that as you level up, you get granted new things and you get your points to spend, as I mentioned in the trait tree. So I don't know for what you might need to see a trainer. It's certainly not the case that you need to go back every time to do a level up, which is nice because being as there's 160 levels, or well, let's say 90 odd for a free to play, it would be such a pain, wouldn't it, being out in the middle of the wilderness somewhere and having to do that. So yeah, it seems like it just takes it immediately, and your character gets the boost there and then, and happy days. Uh, Instance I've already mentioned. Right, I think I've probably waffled on enough. That's just some of the little bits and pieces I've picked up since I've been here. I wanted to finish trying to show you just how chill the experience here can be. We are gonna go and do a little bit of fishing. Now, as far as I can gather, fishing is classed as a hobby in this game. You've got fishing and birding. I haven't done anything with the birding yet, but I have done a little bit with the fishing. The yellow of that bar tells me that I've gained all the... You can only gain 10 ranks on it per day, and they do go up quite quickly. At the lower levels, it seems like... well, it depends what you're doing it for. If you're doing it to get to the higher levels or just for a little bit of a peaceful venture, then fair enough. I mean, look at this. You've got to admit, it's nice, isn't it? I think at the higher levels, some of the fish can be part of cooking recipes, so can make money on the auction house. But I guess it remains to be seen. Dead simple. I did buy an upgraded fishing rod from the auction house, so I'm not on a complete beginner's one. You can get a beginner's one from any hobby master, and all you do is just cast the line, watch for it to sort of splosh a bit, and then press the casting again. Shouldn't take too long, he said, hopefully. Of course, now I've said that, there we go. Just press it once, you get what you get. It tells you what you've got in here. Oh, rusty dagger, so no fish. Let's try again. There we go.
Oh.
No? I must not have been quick enough. Let's try it last time. Something tells me this game would lend itself quite well to, or at least this side of it would lend itself quite well to ASMR type stuff. There we go. And we caught a smelt. I think the higher up you go, the different things you can catch, and in different areas as well. But any body of water, at least that I've found, you can try the fishing rod. I think you can even get there was something No, there was something like awards, and I have no idea how to bring it up again. Is it that one? Yeah, there we go. I think we might be able to get these put into a special display case to put in an eventual house or something. This special catcher's magnificent minnow superb smelt. I think if we take, I don't know where the taxidermy people is, but I bet the wiki would tell us. If we take one of these to that person, we might be able to get the thing immortalized for posterity. Right, I think that's about it. So Too Long Didn't Listen. It's pretty immersive. I mean, I don't know how it compares with. I'm guessing graphically it's dated, but even so, the areas, to me at least, they've had some love. I mean, you only need to go and look around the Shire or Rivendell. I mean, I got a bit lost in Rivendell, but I wasn't too bothered. I was just admiring everything, and that indeed might have been why I got lost. So, if you're into eye candy, I think there's lots to like here. There really is. Contrasting some of these wilderness with, like let's say the DDO Giant Hold or Wayloon. I mean, there's no competition in my eyes. I know those are meant to be kind of that way, like a blasted waste or whatever it happens to be, but I have liked wandering around and discovering the areas. Lastly, before I go, I can't leave without a word for our cardiac bears. Those of you who saw the last video will have noticed I made a comment that I'd long been a Chicago Bears fan and I was talking about the season in general. I suppose it's fitting for those of you who didn't see or hear it that their final game they lost just in the final game. It was another cliffhanger, kind of live by the sword, die by the sword, I guess. But it went right to the wire, and they almost snatched the win and then threw it back again. But it's been compared to the dross that the fans have had to suffer for the last few seasons. It was an amazing season. I think they totally overachieved. I had a great time following them, some proper nerve-jangling endings. And I think the kind of watchword was, when the new coach took over, we want to be, in these games at the end with a shot at winning them. And I think almost without exception, I think they got stuffed one time by Detroit, didn't they? But almost without exception, apart from that, he was true to his word. They were in with a shout at the business end of the game, and more often than not, they saw it through. So hopefully good times ahead for them. Okay, that really is it now. Thanks very much as always for looking, and I will speak to you next time. Take care.